this morning, the intrusive thoughts won. And I mean, honestly, I didn't let the kids ride up top, so the thoughts were less intrusive than they could have been. But I foresee an emergency scenario where we have to roll out with the tent still deployed. And I felt pretty confident going at 1 mile per hour or however slow we just did this drive. We just came from the ridge right over there. You probably can't see with this ultra wide lens. People camping down there. We were camped directly above them for the Milky Way last night. Finally was able to get my Milky Way shot. We did not camp out here because it is more exposed to the wind, but you have better reception. There's no wind right now. Sunset is amazing straight out there. This campsite is 10 times better scenery-wise than the one we were at. If you saw our last video on our Crosstrek suspension, that whole thing was shot out here. You saw the sun rays, the sunset we had, and it's basically a near 360-degree view. Sunset out that way. There's the mountains. So I mean, I could have done my Milky Way shot here, but we also wanted to avoid the wind. And then the sun will rise over there. Just an insane spot. You could circle up so many rigs right here. Honestly, when the weather is this sunny and warm, I can barely even close the tent with all 4 of those struts. Bottom line is, I probably need to work out because crouch running with this gimbal a few hours a day is not cutting it. If you saw last video, we are beyond set up for any adventure now with our Crosstrek. It has reignited, RalliTEK has reignited my fire for going on adventures because of how well this thing is performing right now.
It is called Seep Monkey Flower. That's the monkey flower. It's from the mint family.
Because it's already been doing this. Even if I unlatch that one, try and do this one first, I can't get this to shut, this little metal peg. And I've had this issue before. You'd see where it's all, the finish is rubbed off because I've like hammered at it before. There. I think that'll do it. Yeah, we're back in business.
Oh, it just gets off and then it doesn't fit through the slot.
Yeah, like it gets bent up.
Okay.
I think possibly when I unlatch it, or somewhere in the process, it's putting force on it. Not while we were driving it, but it's been doing that a while and I just, for the first time, could not get it shut. Smack it with a hammer.
That hatchet is very handy.
Hang on there, little guy. You're about to be full send. Okay, now that we got our vehicle all squared away, it's time for me to have a catastrophic computer problem. We hit a pretty gnarly bump coming down out of the state forest, and my Mac was processing the Milky Way time lapse. Actually, it wasn't even a bump in the road. Hannah just cornered fast and this slid off the table and we caught it. That's what it was. It was not a bump in the road. And it immediately just went into recovery mode. And I've spent forever trying to figure out what to do. I get stuck at this select Wi-Fi screen. It needs internet to proceed with the recovery mode. This is new territory for me. I don't like the Mac OS, but I've been using it exclusively for about 4 years now because of how much media work I do and how good Apple silicone chips are. Anyway, I am out in full sun. It's not at full brightness, and finally just read on Reddit the solution to being stuck at this Wi-Fi screen. Here's what it looks like. But it was so dim, I couldn't see that there is a tiny little Wi-Fi symbol, dark gray up there in the corner. It actually shows up pretty well on my phone camera, but I cannot see it at all. And there we go. And there is our Starlink. Oh, please, please just recover. Mac is activated. It will restart in 55 seconds. That would be a major disruption to my workflow if I had to just entirely reinstall my Mac. Yes. Yay. We're back in business, baby. 450 photos remaining. That was a new one for me. try and connect all the dots for you guys. This is the access right by the Peter Iredale shipwreck onto this roughly 10-mile stretch of coast you can drive right here. The very first time we were on here months back, I just talked about it in a video, we saw that apocalyptic warlord bull elk with boat buoys and rope hanging off its antlers. So that trip, we were on our Ironman suspension. Much like it is today, we always catch ourselves at super high tide. That trip in particular was just a crazy high tide. We caught ourselves in it way out there. There was basically no more driving lane left. It was either you're in the water or you're dodging logs and driving in the soft sand up top, which is what we did for the majority of it. And we were just trying to get off the beach because we weren't sure if the tide was still coming up. That's why I said in the last video that it was the most sketchy drive with our Ironman suspension. We were essentially off the road. There's nice flat tracks here, but up there it was really bumpy and we were just pedal to the metal trying to get off the beach. And I had to stop and pop our fender liners back in probably 5 times. A couple videos ago when we were driving this beach at sunset, why I said we always do this was because we had caught ourselves way out there away from the access road at high tide again. That's why Affinity said we're dumb people, is because we had been through that scenario before.
We're dumb people.
So then our last little stop here a few days ago was before we got our Ascent Springs put on. Now we are good as golden.
This person's parking right next to us.
Yep, I have never seen that before.
Yeah.
On a Washington or Oregon coast, I guess. Well, I've never seen it before, period.
Interesting it is how our perspective on stuff changes as technology changes. For centuries, people were so excited about whales washing up on shore and like what a huge benefit it was.
Should I be airing down our tires? Yes, absolutely. The comments always get on my case for not airing down our tires. But the specific look I am going for, the specific aesthetic I am going for as a person is a man who does not air down his tires. So if you two are trying to achieve that look, this is a person that does not air down their tires when they should. We don't have time for that. Instead of missing sunset because I stopped to air down my tires, I'd rather miss sunset because we're stuck somewhere. Found our first sand dollar at Sand Dollar Beach. Quick, there it is. It's beautiful.
It's broken.
Oh no, that's a big one. That's a big one. Ah!
That big one.
Run, we must meet it in battle. This way.
Does it still have its meat in it?
Probably not. I would think a bird would eat it, but it might have its meat.
It might be taking a nap for real.
It might be taking a nap for real. Oh no, sunset is gonna be a certified banger. I must be destined to end up in a grocery store parking lot this evening. We are going to do our best to make it farther than Cannon Beach today, but honestly, we might hunker down there for sunset and then I have no idea what we're gonna do. All right, well, no more bottoming out.
I know, this is insane.
Started at Fort Stevens, drove the whole beach, exited at the farthest south access point, which is Sand Dollar Beach, drove through Sunset Beach. Now we are stopped at a nice little park just a few minutes away from Sand Dollar Beach. We're gonna do as quick of a picnic dinner as we can to try and catch sunset. There's a little library right here, and we're trying to convince Affinity to swap out a book. I always thought that would be a great thing to do on the road, just every time we pass one.
Yeah.
Get a new book. Over there on the playground yelling, telling everyone about the dead whale.
Yeah. Well, I
Let
mean,
her-
it's an exciting experience for a child.
The whole neighborhood.
A real
All right.
Make you look a little less wild when you're in town, huh? A little more civilized, maybe? You're pretty cute.
That is Haystack Rock right behind me. I wanted to bring you guys here to what is actually Cannon Beach. I realize we keep calling this other beach that has a view of Haystack Rock, but if you're wanting to come visit the iconic Haystack Rock, this is where you park to do it. Yeah, the main road above it here has this large pullout. Walk down to that street, and then there will be a beach access path with staircase and trash can straight to Haystack Rock in the middle of that neighborhood. This is the nicest weather we've had in a while here, so there are a lot of people out. There are a couple bald eagles that have just been picking this rock apart. Just dive bombing the seagulls. Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I could just sit here and watch the birds.
Okay, we made it to Cannon Beach. And this time, there's nothing holding us back. So where do we want to go? The problem is, I feel like there's no one that actually wants us to go to California because we wanted it for warmth, and now we have the opposite problem.
Now it's
took
actually
us,
warm.
It took us so long to get to this
now
point.
Now it's going to be too hot.
That's going to be too hot.
If we're not on the coast, it quite possibly could be too hot.
Yeah.
Rivers, like there's a river over
It's just hard to get off the West Coast because there's so many
I
amazing
know.
natural beauty locations
Well,
and camping.
not only natural beauty, but also a lot of like state and national forests stuff that's actually worth.
Now, if we
It's not just flat wilderness or
now
whatever.
if we stick around the Northwest in Oregon, there's the Overland Expo the end of June, which they do a big festival grass field style camping.
Oh,
So,
how fun would that be?
Affinity would love. Got family that are pulling us in two opposite directions.
I know, Wyoming and Alaska. Go, go, go! There you go!
Yay!
Yay!
All right, well, we camped tonight. We hit the road tomorrow.
Going which direction?
I don't know. but it was trying to send us all through, winding through these mountains to get to our campsite. Long story short, we were driving back out the main road